Apricot Moroccan chicken is a delicious blend of chicken breast cooked in a mix of Moroccan spices and served on a bed of fluffy couscous. You'll need olive oil from your pantry, a knife, cutting board, peeler, garlic press, ginger grater and some tongs. Let's start with the garlic. Using a knife, press on the garlic clove with the blade to loosen the skin. You may want to cut off the thick end to make this easier. Now mince the clove in the garlic press. When you've done that, do the same with the second clove and then scrape the skin from the garlic press. Do that with a spoon or a knife. Now for the ginger, cut one end of the ginger to create a flat side. When the ginger is fresh, you can grate it with the skin on, but if you prefer, you can remove the skin. I find it useful to use a spoon to scrape the skin off because you can get into all the knobbly bits. I want to end up with 2 teaspoons of grated ginger. Now for the leek. Cut the dark green leaves off. I will be using just the white part of the leek. Then you cut down the centre of the leek, leaving about 1 centimetre at the end to keep it all together and easier to hold when I come to chopping it. Leeks are grown in sandy soil and the dirt accumulates between the leaves, which I need to remove before cooking. Firstly, wash the leek under cold running water to wash away any dirt. Remove the tough outer leaves and discard them, and continue to wash the leek, fanning out the leaves to make sure there's no dirt or grit between the leaves. Shake it to remove any of the water, and then when you get it back on the board, using a sharp knife, finely chop along the length of the leek. Now we're going to coat the chicken in the Moroccan spice mix. Firstly, take the chicken pieces and put them in the bag with the spice. Toss the chicken to coat all the pieces in the spices and continue to massage the spices into each piece until all of it is well coated. Moroccan spice is a blend of ground coriander, ground cumin, mild paprika, ground turmeric and garlic salt. I'm tossing the chicken until there is no spice left in the bottom of the bag. Now I want you to put a pan on a medium-high heat and add a tablespoon of oil. You might want to pause the video here for 2 to 3 minutes until the oil starts to bubble. I'm adding the chicken in small batches because I want each piece to be in contact with the hot surface. I'll spread the chicken out so it's in a single layer and the outside will caramelize and form a crust. I'm keeping the pan hot or the chicken will start to stew in its own juices. And don't overcrowd the pan. Having too much in the pan at once will cause the temperature to drop and the meat will start to stew. We'll now brown the chicken on both sides over a hot heat. I want the outside to caramelize and form a crust. You'll see the pieces change to a deep golden colour. When one side is cooked, flick the piece over and cook the other side until it's golden brown as well. You continue doing this until all the chicken is browned. This may take longer than 10 minutes depending on the heat in your pan. Pause the video here until you've cooked all the meat and removed it from the pan. Put it on a plate and cover it with foil to keep it moist. Don't wipe the pan clean. I want all those succulent juices to go back into the pan and add to the flavour of the dish. Add the second batch of chicken pieces and move them around so they're in contact with the hot pan. Keep the flame on high. Once again, you can see the colour change to a deep yellow as the spices heat up and the crust forms. You'll need to pause the video again here for approximately 10 minutes until all of these pieces are cooked. Now back in the same pan, add some more oil and add the leek. You also add the 2 teaspoons of ginger and the 2 crushed garlic cloves. Move the vegetables around the pan so the heat is evenly distributed. Cook for about 3 minutes on a medium to high heat until the leek softens. When the leek softens, it will become pale in colour, and that's how you'll know it's nice and soft. Add cumin to the vegetables and stir. Continue to cook for about 30 seconds until it becomes fragrant. Now I'm adding the apricot nectar to the vegetables. Stir this in to combine and scrape down the sides of the pan. I want all these pieces to go back into the sauce and not to burn. I'm now going to bring this to the boil before I add the chicken back in. So put the lid on, turn the heat up to high and bring the sauce to a rapid boil. Once it's started to boil, remove the lid and turn the flame down to medium. I want the moisture to escape and the sauce to start to thicken. This will take between 5 and 10 minutes. We'll pause the video here until the sauce has thickened. Your sauce should now be reduced by about half, and we will add the cooked chicken back to the pan. Scrape the juices that have settled on the plate into the pan. We don't want to lose any of that gorgeous flavour. Remember, the chicken is still raw in the middle, so I'll add it to the nectar and let it continue to cook, absorbing all of the flavour from the nectar sauce. Push the pieces down into the sauce so that they are completely covered. The sauce will now have dropped in temperature because the chicken pieces have been added, so I need to bring the sauce back up to the boil before I turn it to a simmer. So put the lid on and turn the flame to high. Once the sauce is boiling, then turn it down to a gentle simmer. That means the bubbles are forming on the top and gently bursting. Pause the video here for about 20 minutes or until the chicken is cooked. To check the chicken is cooked, take a large piece and cut it in half. Check the flesh is white. If it is pink, then it will need to cook for a little while longer. In your kit, you will find 1.5 cups of couscous. Pour this into a heat-proof bowl. Add 1.5 cups of boiling water. Use a fork to stir the water into the grains. After doing that, we'll now leave the couscous and the water to stand for 5 minutes so the water can be absorbed. You can pause the video here for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, use a fork to fluff up the couscous. Make sure you go around the sides, as this can be an area where the grains become stuck. Loosen up the grains and break up any clumps. So now we're going to serve the couscous with the chicken and enjoy. It's nothing fancy, it's just homemade, made easy. If you happen to have any leftovers, simply let it cool down and fill couscous or the apricot nectar containers and freeze for up to 2 months. Don't forget to write the use-by date on the sticker.